All right, what up, YouTube? I want to try something a little different today. I want to go over the lyrics to a song by Tom McDonald called Sheeple. If you guys haven't heard the song, I'll leave links down below. I would absolutely love to interview Tom McDonald if ever given the opportunity. So let's dive into these lyrics. I just want to read over a few of these lines and just talk about the lyrics and how it makes me feel personally about the current financial situation, central bankers, the media, and this cancel culture that we live in. Ready? Let's dive deep. Humans have been controlled since the day that they were civilized. The truth has been heavily politicized. If you don't know who's controlling you and killing all the little guys, find out who you're not allowed to criticize. That's probably one of my favorite quotes, and it really hits home about me as an American citizen. I feel that I can't give you my personal opinion because if I speak poorly about the powers that be, or you start calling out the system that we live in for being quote unquote a system, you are labeled as a racist, a bigot, a threat to society, somebody who's out there sharing disinformation. The amount of people that were canceled from social media for not following the norm and not just saying, okay, hey, here's what you're telling us we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be sheep and just fall in line because some government party says that this is quote unquote the truth. And if you spoke out against that truth, you're immediately deplatformed. Man, oh man, it's crazy. They starve you with the lack of information and they only give you facts through a branded corporation. Distort your worldviews with an algorithm that changes based on propaganda curated for your engagement. Ooh, I couldn't tell you about the lack of information. Speaking of which, let's quote Henry Ford really quick. It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. Tom nailed it on the head. The lack of information that they provide us, or the quote unquote disinformation about our current banking situation, federal banks, the Federal Reserves, how federal banks operate. It's so crazy that the most powerful people in the world, the people that control the bank, the people that control the money printers, the people that created this inflation, they created this inflationary environment. There is absolutely no way that you could ever imagine that the people that control the money printer didn't know exactly what they were doing by printing $15 trillion. Show me one statistical mathematical chart that shows that central banks did some type of research that showed that they could print $15 trillion and it would not cause inflation. Why were they so late to react to inflation? Why were they force feeding us it's transitory? Inflation's just gonna disappear. It's just gonna go away. Where is all this information about how these banks are controlling the money printer? And this is probably one of my favorite ones. Hollywood been rotting your brain, controlling your mouth. You say lit, fleet, bet, cap. They try and dumb you down. They endorse whatever narrative is popular to shout and use minorities in movies for diversity clout. Two sides of the spectrum, but ain't none of them honest. Took the red pill and the blue pill, spit them both in the garbage. Being woke used to mean you understood you're a target. And now it's having two good legs and never taken a step forward. If you agree, it's free speech. Disagree, it's hate speech. Erase it if it came from anywhere except the mainstream. Trump supporters labeled as racist, but that can't be. Lincoln was a Republican, and that's who ended slavery. I'm personally not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I view myself as an American. And it feels like every day you are forced to label yourself as something. Everything from gender to your political viewpoint. And if you haven't watched the Piers Morgan, Andrew Tate interview, talk about being force-fed or being forced to choose. You either have to be labeled as something, and if somebody says something publicly, whether it's good or bad, you are forced to take a side. And if you choose to just sit on the sidelines, you're labeled as something. Point in case, me and Bree went to 3 different Black Lives Matters protests. We went and filmed in Detroit, we went and filmed in New York City, and we went and filmed in Chicago. We were just there to support, film, document the journey. And what was funny is Bree had 625,000 followers on Instagram at the time. And Bree was just posting her modeling pictures. But she was getting attacked daily because she was not putting, what was it, like a black X on your profile. She was just staying completely out of it. And she was being attacked by thousands and thousands of subscribers for just not taking a stance. Not taking a stance. That is what the mainstream media is doing. They are trying to divide us because it's easier for them to control specific groups of people. Because if we all started to think for ourselves and we all started to ask questions about how money works, and the best question of them all is how are the most powerful people in the world that control a nation's wealth not elected by the people? By the people. We have people in power that are changing laws, that are writing legislation. What happened to the American people taking a vote? Why do we need to elect officials to pass laws that dictate how we, the people, generate wealth? The regulatory bodies in the United States, unelected officials. The SEC, the CTFC, the people that make regulations about stock markets, about what investments you can make. They make it extremely difficult for the average person to make investments into startup companies. And when do you have the best opportunity to make money? From the ground level. So these are the unelected bureaucrats that control everything. And we, the people, don't have a vote. Do you remember the Boston Tea Party that started the American Revolution? Was over no taxation without representation. Meaning our great-great-grandfathers, our great-great-grandparents that conquered this country sacrificed their life so that we could live free and have freedom of speech, freedom of choice, freedom of religion, right? And now in this society that we're living, we're being forced into cubicles, man, to be just droids in the machine. We're legit living in the Matrix. It's crazy. If they can't convince you, they confuse you. They want you dumb and dead. They divide you by race, religion, income, and sex. Made everybody right or left. The hatred got so intense. If the other side likes oxygen, you'll put a bag over your head. And the conspiracy theories labeled as misinformation. It's just a terrifying truth that scares the hell out of the nation. The system treating you like trash and you got rifles to aim. Just imagine how they'll treat you when your guns get confiscated. George Orwell, 1984, was his last lecture. George called them thought police. Now we call them fact checkers. Government surveillance trying to catch you. They don't even ask questions. Mass incarceration equals capital for cash investments. The system isn't broke, it's working fine. Oppressive and chaotic is how it was designed. They say if you ain't doing nothing wrong, there's nothing to hide. While their agenda and intelligence is completely classified. They don't teach you rights in school. You'll never learn them at all. Because they are easy to remove if you don't know they are there. The only people you can rule are the criminal ones. So they force you into corners until you're breaking the law. This is hands down one of the best songs that I've heard in a really long time. Big shout out to Tom McDonald. If you're ever interested in coming on the show for an interview to talk about your music, I highly suggest that everybody swings over to Tom's channel. Links will be down below in the description, man. We appreciate you. Keep putting out great content, buddy. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.